Good morning, students. In the last class, we were studying our chapter number 11, reproduction in plants. So already I have sent it the question answer of this chapter in my last classes, because you will get the sufficient time to learn the question answers of the chapter. So soon in my next class, I will provide all the exercises of the chapters. Okay. So in chapter number 11, reproduction in plants, we have finished about the asexual reproduction, and in asexual reproduction we have finished the budding. Now today we are going to start our second types of asexual reproduction, that is fragmentations. So my dear, fragmentation is observed in such plant like algae and Spirogyra. So these plants which grow in just the ditches and ponds, the plants which grow in ditches or ponds, in that such type of plants fragmentation generally occurs. It is said that from the parent body the small fragments means small parts get detaches from the parent plant. The main or parent plant break out into small pieces. These small pieces are called fragments. And from these part of the fragments new plant is arised. So in fragmentation, the parent plant break into small plant, and from these small plants a new individual grow. These small parts are called fragment, and so this process is known as a fragmentation. Spore formation. This process or this type of asexual reproduction is generally found in ferns and mosses. This type of reproduction is found in ferns and mosses, and this plant multiply with the help of spores. Spores means tiny pores. Spores means tiny holes. In this, spores are produced by the parent plant in large numbers. Spores are produced by the parent plant in large numbers, and these spores develop into a new plant. In the favorable condition, these spores develop into a new plant, as you can see here. Now we will see the second type of reproduction which occurs in the plants is a vegetative reproduction. The vegetative reproduction is a reproduction in which the reproduction is carried out by the parts of the plant. So the type of reproduction in which plant parts are used to reproduce into new plant is called a vegetative reproduction. In the vegetative reproduction, part of plants such as a stem, root, leaf, fruits, these are used to make a new plant. These also have an ability to produce a new plant. So the type of reproduction in which new plants grow from the parts of the plant is known as a vegetative reproduction. So vegetative reproduction can be either natural or artificial. So we can carry out vegetative reproduction in two categories. It can be either the natural or it can be either artificial. Natural reproduction. See, in natural method, the plant reproduce naturally. In simple words, we can say that the nature is responsible for the reproduction in plants, and it does not include any it does not include any other sources. It is automatically carried out naturally by the plant. So first method in natural method is plants that multiply through their roots. So plants such as dahlia, sweet potato and asparagus reproduce through their roots. Their roots are used to multiply them. Some of the examples are dahlia and sweet potato. These roots stores food in them. Which helps in the multiplication for the next season. As you can see here, carrot, radish, these can be also example of such plants. Next, some plants that multiply through their stems. Some plants that multiply through their stems. So there are various plants such as strawberry, chrysanthemum, grasses, which bear both roots and shoot at every node, which bear both root and shoot at every node on the stem. Some plants have also underground stems in them, which helps them to multiply, and they also contain food in them. This food is used by the new plants to grow. This food is used by the new plants to grow. Underground stems are of four kinds. Underground stems are of four kinds: rhizomes, bulbs, tuber, and cones. This we have studied in class 6, so you are very familiar with that. Some plants which are that multiply through their stems. Examples are rhizomes, bulbs, tubers, and cones. Rhizomes examples are turmeric and ginger. They bear bud that grow into a new plants. Tubers of potato. Tubers have potatoes. Tubers of potato have eye or bulb-like structure. Tubers of potato have eyes that produce buds. Tubers of potatoes have eyes that have produced buds. In favorable condition, these buds grow into a new plant. In favorable condition, these buds grow into a new plant. Next, bulb of onion have a flesh leafy arrangement in circles that store food. In onion, we have seen that onion contains leaves in them, fleshy leaves like structure in them that stored food. These flat stem at the base of the fleshy leaves produce a new plant. These flat stem at the base of the fleshy leaves produces into a new plant under a favorable condition. Last, combs. Combs of Gladiolus and Colocasia have lateral buds. See, you can see this. These are the lateral buds. Several buds are arised from here. So, combs of Gladiolus and Colocasia have lateral buds which grow into a new plant. Some plants also multiply with the help of their stems, leaves. Some plants also multiply with the help of their leaves. Example is a bryophyllum, which we have studied in our previous classes, 6th class. In 6th class, we have very well studied that some plant grow, I think so it is in 8th or 9th chapter, some plant which help to multiply through their leaves. Example of such plants are the bryophyllum. In these, buds fall off from the parent plant and grow into a new plant. So these were all the natural method. Now we will see some of the artificial method or man-made method which are used to multiply the plant. Sometimes vegetative reproduction is induced artificially by humans, especially in case of commercially important plant like rose. Some of the method for artificial methods are cutting, grafting, and layering. Some of the method in artificial method of reproduction are cutting, grafting, and layering. So first we will see cutting. In this method, a part of the parent plant, generally the stem, as we do in the rose plant. So in this method, a part of the parent plant, generally the stem, is cut and replanted separately in soil. So what we do in rose plant or sugarcane plant, we used to cut a part of a stem. And plant it in another area in the soil, After a few days we see that roots and shoot starts to rise. And finally it grow into a new plant. This method is generally seen in the multiplication of sugarcane, rose, bougainvillea and hibiscus. Next method for multiplication of plant is the grafting. In this method is generally used to mix two varieties of plant. This method is generally used to mix two varieties of plant. In this method, generally the vegetative part, either the root or shoot. In this method, mainly the vegetative part, either the root or shoot of a bud of a desired variety, also known as scion, is attached to the base of the second plant. It's like you can see here. This is a scion. Scion is attached to the second plant. The desired plant is known as scion, whereas the second plant is known as stalk. The first plant will be called as scion, and whereas the second plant will be called as stalk. So both scion and stalks are connected to each other. These two parts are then bonded together and allowed to grow. And finally, we see that the flowers or fruit produced from such method will appear. Finally, we will see that fruits or flowers produced from such method will bear the qualities of both scion and the stalk plants. So, to get the two varieties of the same plant from the same plant, we used to bond two plants. The first plant is called scion and the second plant is called stalk. Both the plants are tied together, and after a few times we will see that the both plants are growing into a new plant, and the new plant will carry or bear the qualities of both scion and the stalk plant. Last method is layering. In this method, the branch of a plant is buried under the soil. After some time, the portion of a buried underground branch stem grow up into a new plant and develops root and shoot. Finally, the branch from the main plant is being cut off, and this root and shoot grow into a new plant. This root and shoot produce and grow into a new plant separately. This method is commonly used to multiply plants such as grapes, jasmine and bougainvillea. Now we will see some of the advantages of the vegetative reproduction. So vegetative reproduction has lots of advantages. Some of them are mentioned. New plants can be grown more rapidly and in large number as compared to sexual reproduction. It is a short method of growing plants directly out of the parent plant. Unlike other method, seeds produced by sexual reproduction may not germinate if they do not get the correct amount of air, water and warmth. Only one parent plant is required for the production of large number of plants. All the characteristics or qualities of the parent plant are preserved in the new plant. This method makes it possible for non-flowering plant to reproduce. So these are some of the very important method of the one of very important advantages of the asexual reproduction or vegetative reproduction. Now we will see the sexual reproduction in plants. So what is the meaning of sexual reproduction? Reproduction which involve both male and female organs is called sexual reproduction. The reproduction is a process in which both male and female Sexual reproduction is a process in which both the male and the female parents produce a new offspring. Offspring means new plants. So sexual reproduction is a process by which both the male and female parents produce offspring. Flower is the reproductive organ of a plant. Flower is the reproductive organ of a plant because it carries both male and female reproductive organ. In the last class we have seen that the stamen is the male reproductive organ, whereas the pistil is the female reproductive organ in a plant. Male is the stamen and female is the pistil. Flower of different plants may differ in different shape, size and color. These could also be flowers that have either male parts or female parts, both. Thus, flowers of different plants are broadly classified into various categories or two categories. First is for unisexual flower. So flowers that contain only the male or the female part of a plant are called the unisexual flowers. Flowers that contain only the male or the female part of a plant are called a unisexual flower. Such flower may be either female flower or it may be male flowers. And next is the bisexual flowers. Flowers that contain both the male and the female part of a plant are called the bisexual flowers. Flowers that contain both male and female part of a plant are called the bisexual flowers. Okay. So till now we have seen here the asexual reproduction and we have started the sexual reproduction. Question answers, already 3 chapters question answers I have given. Exercises I will send it to you till Friday. Till then you just prepare well for your exam. No need to worry. Your portion will be finished, but before finishing of the portion you should prepare for the exam very well. Okay? Okay students. Thank you.